we go with the B main, all about set to go. Away and racing. Daniel Orio leads them down the main straight the first time. Fearless Phil Rose on the outside. So head out of turn number 2 and down the back straight. In fact, it's Frank Doze. Frank Doze went into second place. Rose is back there in 4th. So move out of turn 4 the first time. The race leader is car number 72, Daniel Orio. Second place, Frank Doze. Then back to Greg Mills. 4th place is that of Phil Rose. Then Barry Rose in 5th place. As they move down the main straight, one car, Jaden McCush, is going to be out of the race as he retires to the infield. But it's Daniel Orio who leads. Frank Doze in 2nd place. Then in 3rd place, the 71 of Mills. Barry Rose goes into 4th place. Phil Rose is back there in 5th. Back there to Ron Belfield in 6th place. Then Hayden Pennell. Warren Flavel, the next car through. Back then after that, we've got Rod Matchin, Murray Cleesby, Dale Cockman. Laura Burns is back there in about 13th place. Alan Harper, Bo Riley, Jeff Paul, Gary Sutton and Cale Soderoff. 3 laps down and 13 laps to go. Out in front, it's that of Daniel Orio. Frank Doze in 2nd place, putting the pressure on. Frank Doze hits the front. Back in 3rd place, it's still 71 of Greg Mills. 4th place, Barry Rose. Then 5th place is Phil Rose. 6th place is that of Ronnie Belfield. Back then to Hayden Pennell. Then the 112 of Warren Flavel. Coming through after Warren Flavel would be that of Dale Cockman. He goes around the outside of Rod Matchin. Our race leader though is Frank Doze. 15 laps to go in the B main. Comes into the main straight from Daniel Orio. They're well clear. Barry Rose moves into 3rd place underneath of Greg Mills. Mills the outside, Barry Rose the inside, Phil Rose right there with them. Ronnie Belfield in 6th place, and Hayden Pennell. Dale Cockman starting to make his way through the field, and 112 Warren Flavel. Rod Matchin the next car after that as they come out of Pitts Bend and down the main straight. The lead 2 cars separated by 0.6 of a second. There's 4 seconds back to the rest of the field. Barry Rose in 3rd, Greg Mills then Phil Rose. On the outside of Ron Belfield would be Dale Cockman, Hayden Pennell and 112 Warren Flavel. Flavel now comes underneath of Cockman. He's on the outside of Ronnie Belfield as there's trouble. Phil Rose is hooked together with the 61 of Ron Belfield. The yellow lights have come on. Not sure if Ron Belfield or Phil Rose are out of noise. I think Phil Rose might be out of noise, and Ron Belfield got tangled up in the back end of him. The yellow lights have come on and there'll be a stoppage here after 6. Green flag at the ready. Green lights are back on. We're away with Frank Doze leading them down the main straight. Orio, Rose, and back into the 71 car of Greg Mills. Ron Belfield looking to get underneath of him. So head out of turn number 2 and back down the back straight once again. For the first time this weekend, there's a little bit of dust down in turn 3 and 4. Oh, sorry, 1 and 2. So come into the main straight. Doze is clear. Orio, then Phil Rose. Greg Mills in 4th place. Back then to Ron Belfield in 5th. Hayden Pennell 6th. Then 112 is the next car running. Warren Flavel. Then Dale Cockman, Murray Cleesby. Jeff Paul follows them through after that in about 10th or 11th place. So move down the main straight. Frank Doze, Orio, Barry Rose. Back then to Greg Mills. He's under pressure from Ron Belfield. 12 laps to go. Back then to the 77 of Hayden Pennell. Dale Cockman's out with a flat tyre. So move down into turn number 3 and 4. Cockman hasn't got off the racetrack. He does now. The race leader is Doze. Barry Rose into 2nd. Orio 3rd. Mills still under pressure from the 61 of Ron Belfield. Back then to Warren Flavel in 6th place. Hayden Pennell. Back then to Murray Cleesby. Jeff Paul goes underneath the Murray Cleesby as they head down into turn number 2 once again. And now the leaders are coming out of turn number 4. The race leader is 3, Frank Doze. 181, Barry Rose in 2nd. 72 in 3rd place belongs to Daniel Orio. Then back in 4th now is the 61 car of Ron Belfield. 5th is 71 of Greg Mills. Then Warren Flavel in 6th. 7th is Hayden Pennell, then Murray Cleesby. Back then to Jeff Paul. 9 laps to go in the B main. It's Frank Doze a mile out in front. 181 in 2nd place. Barry Rose is 1.1 seconds behind. Back in 3rd place is, well, we've got a tyre on the track. The yellow lights will come on here. Yellow lights have come on. It's been ripped out of the ground. Yellow lights are on. 9 laps to go. Back underway. Down into turn number 1. First move is coming from Warren Flavel in 5th place. Or up into 5th place, goes under Greg Mills, who goes back to 6th. So come out of turn 4 to complete another lap. The race leader is now Barry Rose. Barry Rose goes underneath of Frank Doze. So it's now Rose from Doze. Back in 3rd place, it's Oreo. He's under pressure from Ron Belfield. Now it's Doze. Doze who leads Rose as they come out of turn 3 and 4. It might be Oreo in a moment as Doze goes wide and Rose goes back to 4th and Daniel Oreo's in front. Well, this has had a never-changing race, this one. Now Doze goes wide and Belfield and Rose go through and Doze is back to 4th. So it's Oreo, Belfield, Rose and Doze. So come into the main straight once again. Daniel Oreo with 6 to go, leads Ron Belfield. Barry Rose, Frank Doze. Warren Flavel's there and so too Jeff Paul. 6 of them into 4 won't go. Back to Murray Cleesby. So head down the back straight. Jeff Paul has moved up to 5th place now. Jeff Paul's come from the very back row of the B main to be up into 5th place. And we've got 5 to go. It's Daniel Oreo looking for the biggest win of his career. 2nd place is Ron Belfield, Barry Rose, Frank Doze. Oh, 2 of them have gone extremely wide. Murray Cleesby goes into 6th place now as they go down the back straight. Rod Matchin's got up to 7th, but into the main straight with 4 to go and a very entertaining B main. It's not over by a long shot. Jeff Paul has gone into 4th place and replaced Frank Doze. So Frank Doze has gone back to 5th. Well, Jeff Paul from position number 17 is up into 4th place in the B main with 3 to go. Oreo, Belfield, Rose, Paul and Doze. Warren Flavel's out. Back to Murray Cleesby, who's starting to close the gap as well. There's 4 car lengths separating the top 4 as Jeff Paul pokes the nose under Barry Rose as Ron Belfield hits the front. This is the 5th leader of the race. Unbelievable. Oreo, Rose, Paul and Doze. 5 of them now fighting for 4 spots. 1.5 laps to go. The white flag to come out. 1 to go this time around. White flag, and it's 61 of Ron Belfield who leads the last lap. Oreo, Rose, Paul and Doze, the top 5. Someone is about to miss out of turn 2 the last time. It's Ronnie Belfield. Here comes Barry Rose up behind Oreo. Frank Doze dives underneath of Jeff Paul. This is the last transfer spot. Oh, it's going to be very close. Jeff Paul by 0.05 of a second for 4th place. Ron Belfield wins from Daniel Oreo. Barry Rose is 3rd and Jeff Paul has got 4th by 0.054 of a second. Not 0.5, 0.054. Frank Doze 5th, Murray Cleesby. Then